Darth Vader. To the galaxy, he was an unstoppable force, an imposing figure of terror and loyalty to the Emperor. But there was always something more to Vader. Whispers circulated, rumors spread amongst the citizens of the galaxy. Who was this dark figure? Some thought he was the successor to General Grievous, held in reserve by Palpatine until the Jedi attempted to overthrow him. Others theorized that he was an artificial monster created in a laboratory. No one would have guessed that he was really the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, an accomplished Jedi Knight and the face of the Republic during the Clone Wars. And Palpatine loved it. Vader had a mystique about him, and was a tool to help him rule the galaxy through fear alone. Few dared to question, fewer knew the horrifying truth, but who knew this secret and what did it cost them? We begin with the man responsible for Vader's creation, Darth Sidious. From the moment Anakin Skywalker pledged himself to the dark side, Palpatine had his apprentice's new identity cemented in secrecy. He gave Anakin the Sith name Darth Vader, stripping away his past as the Republic's golden boy and beginning the process of forging him into the perfect Sith weapon. But Palpatine wasn't interested in sharing this secret, even with his closest advisors. While some of Palpatine's aides knew about the Emperor's Sith identity, it's uncertain if they ever knew the full truth about Vader. For instance, Mas Amedda, Palpatine's Grand Visor, may have been in the loop given his high rank, but there's no confirmation. Of course, another one of the first to know the truth was Anakin's former master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, but Obi-Wan's journey with this secret was far more complicated. After their brutal duel on Mustafar, Obi-Wan believed he had left Anakin to die. He walked away, thinking the man he once called brother was no more. For 10 long years, Obi-Wan hid away on Tatooine, haunted by the loss of his former apprentice, never imagining Anakin had survived, let alone that he was now this monster. It wasn't until the events of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series that the former Jedi Master finally learned the horrifying truth. Anakin was in fact alive. The man he thought dead had lived and risen as the Empire's enforcer. Prior to the Disney Plus series, the explanation came in the novel Dark Lord: The Rise of Darth Vader, written by James Luceno. Obi-Wan Kenobi was at a cantina when he heard the news of Darth Vader's victory at the Battle of Kashyyyk. He then consulted with the Force ghost of his own master, Qui-Gon Jinn, who confirmed that the Vader of Kashyyyk was indeed his former Jedi Padawan. Regardless of which version of the story you prefer, can you imagine the guilt, the horror? Obi-Wan must have felt like he had failed in every possible way. The weight of that revelation only further fueled his resolve to protect Luke Skywalker, the last hope for the Jedi Order. Because Obi-Wan believed Anakin had perished on Mustafar after their duel, we can also assume that he told this to Yoda. We know the tiny green Jedi knows by the Empire Strikes Back, so he was likely told through a visit by Obi-Wan's Force ghost. But perhaps no one was more shocked to learn about Darth Vader's identity than his own children, Luke and Leia. In The Empire Strikes Back, audiences were left gasping when Vader drops the infamous bombshell.
No, I am your father.
The greatest twist in the history of cinema. But imagine how Luke felt in that moment. It wasn't just that his father was alive, it was that his father had become this evil monster. Luke was devastated, torn between his identity as a young, hopeful Jedi and the horrifying truth that flowed through his bloodline. By the time we reach Return of the Jedi, Luke shares this secret with Leia, but she too is shaken, more so by the fact that Luke is her brother. In Claudia Gray's novel Bloodline, we get a deeper glimpse into how Leia grappled with her father's legacy. For years, she had imagined that Anakin's fall to the dark side was born out of ambition or greed, but as she reflected on her own choices, she came to realize that perhaps Anakin's turn wasn't so black and white. The desire to save someone or to right a wrong, these were motivations she too understood, even if it led to evil. That first impulse may have been born out of loyalty, a sense of justice, or even love.
While we're talking about Anakin Skywalker, let me show you his Episode 3 replica lightsaber from our friends at sabercouncil.com. This hilt is absolutely beautiful and comes with RGB, NeoPixel, and Profi electronic options. Each features responsive gesture controls, multiple blade colors, several sound fonts, and ignition effects. Saber Council is on a mission to offer the best prices on the market. In fact, their Padawan sabers start at just $66. Even their character replicas and custom sabers are cheaper than any other saber store I've personally seen. And you can save even more, because the discount code RED5 will get you 10% off at checkout. Come take your seat at the Saber Council. The link is in the description.
Sometimes the truth hides in the most unlikely of places, like inside the memory core of an astromech droid. R2-D2, one of Anakin's most trusted companions during the Clone Wars, had never had his memory wiped after the fall of the Republic. That means throughout the original trilogy, R2 knew the entire story. Who Darth Vader really was, what had happened to the Jedi, and how Anakin had fallen. He had a front-row seat for it all. In the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, R2 even tells C-3PO about how Anakin is changing and doesn't talk to him anymore. The last time the loyal astromech ever saw Anakin, he was told to wait with his ship on Mustafar, though the fallen Jedi would never return to him. This is exactly why R2 never stayed with Luke's ship when asked to do so. R2 was smart. He never revealed the truth to Luke, knowing that it wasn't his place to interfere in the young Jedi's journey. C-3PO, on the other hand, wasn't so lucky. His memory was wiped at the end of Revenge of the Sith, meaning he had no recollection of Anakin's transformation. That's probably a good thing with how much he likes to talk. However, after the rise of Skywalker, C-3PO's memory was restored, so he now remembers the entire saga, including who Darth Vader truly was. Ahsoka Tano, Anakin's former Padawan, had one of the most heartbreaking realizations about her former master's fate. Throughout Star Wars Rebels, Ahsoka began to suspect that the dark figure known as Darth Vader could be her old master. But she refused to believe it, until the devastating moment in the Season 2 finale when she came face to face with Vader. The duel between Ahsoka and Vader is one of the most emotional moments in Star Wars history. In that moment, she can no longer deny the truth as she looks through the cracked mask and into the eyes of Anakin Skywalker. The man who trained her, the man who was like a brother to her, was gone, replaced by this monstrous figure. While some learned the truth through emotional connections, others deduced it through sheer intellect alone. Grand Moff Tarkin, one of the Empire's most brilliant and ruthless strategists, had fought alongside Anakin Skywalker during the Clone Wars. He saw something in Vader that felt familiar. In the novel Tarkin by James Luceno, Tarkin deduces the truth. He recognizes Anakin's military strategies, his mastery of the lightsaber, and even his relationship with the stormtroopers. Yet, Tarkin, ever the pragmatist, kept this knowledge to himself. Grand Admiral Thrawn, another brilliant tactician, also figured out the truth. Thrawn had encountered Anakin during the Clone Wars, the two working together on missions detailed in Thrawn Alliances and Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising. In fact, it was Thrawn's name-dropping of Anakin Skywalker that initially persuaded Palpatine into accepting the Chiss into the ranks of the Galactic Empire. When he later met Darth Vader, he was able to piece together who the Sith Lord really was. Thrawn's sharp mind, however, ensured that he played along with the Emperor's plan, but he did indicate his suspicions to Vader in Thrawn Alliances. It was probably smart of Thrawn and Tarkin to not outright say it, though. The secret of Darth Vader's identity was so dangerous that many who learned it paid with their lives. Jocasta Nu, the former chief librarian of the Jedi Temple's archives, discovered the truth when she encountered Vader during the early days of the Empire, learning the truth when a medical droid scanned the Sith Lord. She attempted to use this knowledge to sow discord within Imperial ranks, revealing it to the troopers who captured her, but Vader swiftly killed them all and cut her down for good measure. However, Jocasta Nu wasn't the only Jedi that survived Order 66 who was able to learn the truth. Hiding away on the aquatic planet Mon Cala, Farron Barr was an Itachi Jedi Padawan who managed to access security recordings from the Jedi Temple, shocked by what he discovered had happened there. Farron Barr trained a group of Force sensitives on Mon Cala, but his band was attacked by Darth Vader. The only survivor of this attack was one of Barr's disciples, a woman named Verla. She spent a long time on the run before meeting Luke Skywalker shortly after the events of The Empire Strikes Back. Verla used a dark side mind probe to learn Luke was Vader's son, and attempted to kill him in an act of vengeance, but was stopped by R2-D2. Verla asked Luke never to approach her again, and presumably continued to live as a hermit, hiding away from the galaxy. Technically, Jedi survivors of Order 66 in their own right, the Inquisitors were seemingly unaware of Darth Vader's true identity. That is, aside from the third sister, Reva. She intentionally became an Inquisitor with one goal in mind: revenge. She was a youngling when Anakin raided the Jedi Temple during Operation Nightfall, killing the only family Reva had ever known as she lay there and played dead. Needless to say, things didn't go to plan for her, and the attempt on Vader's life nearly cost the third sister her own. In Ahsoka, we were introduced to a new figure, Baylan Skoll, a former Jedi and once respected general who survived Order 66. Baylan became a mercenary, operating in the shadows even after the fall of the Empire. But during a confrontation with Ahsoka, Baylan drops a bombshell that catches her off guard. He knows her former master's dark secret. He knows Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader, though we are unsure of how exactly he learned the truth. Perhaps one of the most unexpected characters to learn of Darth Vader's true identity was Sabe, one of Padme Amidala's former handmaidens and decoys. After the fall of the Empire, Sabe dedicated herself to uncovering the truth about what happened to Padme, and in doing so, crossed paths with Vader. Later, Sabe discovered a hollow recording of Padme's final moments on Polis Massa as she voiced her belief to Obi-Wan that there was still good in Anakin. She made it her mission to see if Padme's words were true, and she even served at Vader's side for a time. However, they ultimately parted ways just ahead of the Battle of Endor, when Padme was proved to be right, and Anakin Skywalker ultimately returned to finally bring balance to the Force.